listeners. And of course, it is the Tech Show every single Saturday from 5 o'clock up until 5:30. And for this edition, we're going to be talking about the Age of Biometrics. And safe to say, as usual, I've got my main man, Mr. Isheanesu. Good morning, Isha. How are you doing?
Morning, Smooth. How's it going?
I'm very well, man. You know how it is with the weekend. You wish that probably we can continue this conversation over and over.
For sure, man, for sure.
Otherwise, how's been the week, man?
The week has been all right. It has been good. How has it been on your side?
It's been well. It's been well. Been up to work as usual. And you know it is with the end of the year coming through, man. So many things happening, gigs and everything, so we just keep pushing.
Sure.
100%. So it's yet another edition, and of course, for this edition, we're going to be talking about the age of biometrics. Now, ever so often, you might find yourself being one person who probably goes to any building or any company, and when you get there, they probably ask you, can you probably take a fingerprint? It might be at the passport office or any other place. Have you ever asked yourself the question, what is biometrics? So, Isha, if you may, when we talk about biometrics, what are we talking about?
Right. Thank you, Smooth. This is quite interesting area of technology. So biometrics is basically talking about the unique physical features or unique behavioral characteristics that we can use to identify an individual. So you would know, Smooth, that every individual has some unique physical features which are unique to them. You won't find them in any other person. The same goes for their behavioral characteristics. So common examples are things like your fingerprints, the traditional fingerprints, your face, your eyes, your voice even, and one of the favorites these days, with Tinashe Mugabe, there is the DNA. It's another field of biometrics, So it's a technology which is being used in various fields, mostly to identify and authenticate an individual using those physical features and the behavioral characteristics.
That's a mouthful, man, when you think about it. Because when I'm looking at biometrics from the way you're saying it, already you can tell there's elements of the biology, that's the physical side of it, and metrics with the numbers thing. So how do these biometrics work? How do they work?
Okay. So how the biometrics systems work is like, remember we talked about two aspects. So there's the physical aspect, and then there's a behavioral aspect. So for physical aspect, we're looking at the physical characteristics of a person. For example, the physical structure of your body, like your fingerprint, right? Your facial features, the patterns of the veins in your eyes, and the how your hand is shaped. It's unique to each individual, right? And we look at the behavioral aspect, where we are saying the way you behave, from your voice, the way you speak, Smooth, you'll be shocked that there is no one who can speak the same way like you, no matter how much they can try to mimic you. Your voice has a unique signature, right? Even the way you walk. So when systems make use of these behavioral and physical features, what happens is a sample of those features is taken, or rather multiple samples. So for example, if it's your fingerprint, we take a few samples of your finger to get a picture, right? The same way you would take a picture of a person and store it in your phone. When we're using biometric systems, they make use of sensors and scanners and cameras, right? To then, capture those physical or behavioral features and characteristics that I talked about, and then a picture of that is saved somewhere, right? So when you want to do something, or maybe you want to access your phone, maybe you want to get into a building, you have to present one of those features. So for example, you have to present your finger, and then when you present it, maybe you put it on the scanner, right? It is then compared to that sample that has been taken to see if it's the same. So remember, we said every person has unique features from a physical perspective and a behavioral perspective. So if you have your fingerprint saved smooth in the system, when you present it to the scanner, and the scanner then compares what you have presented to what's in the system, and it's able to match you to what's saved in the system, and then all your details are now available. We can identify that this is smooth, is 30 years old, and so on and so forth. So it makes use of all those different things, like your fingers, your face, your facial setup, your voice, and things like that. So you'll find that these are used in quite a lot of areas. Smooth. I'm sure you've seen your buildings. You talked about buildings where for security and access, you want to control the people who enter a certain place. So using biometrics, you can be almost 100% sure that the people who are entering a certain area are those we have granted access, or we have given access, or whom we have allowed to enter this particular building, right? We have it being used even in law enforcement. The use of fingerprints has happened in quite a long while now, where a criminal can be identified by
the fingerprint.
By the fingerprint, at the border now. Back in the day, you probably would use your brother's passport to get into,
to cross over.
Yes, to cross over. but just because maybe you look the same, or imagine you are twins, you are identical twins, you can use your twins' passport. But now using biometric systems, it can uniquely identify you, so you can be able to detect that, no, this is a different person. This is not smooth. So you can see now it's now being used even things like in the financial services, banks, where someone has to put their fingerprint for them to be authenticated, for us to be able to prove that indeed this person was trying to withdraw funds, or maybe this person was trying to make use of medical aid is indeed the correct person, and it's not Smooth who has taken his brother's medical aid card and is trying to get treated at a hospital. So there's quite a lot of that's basically how biometrics are used by comparing what the features that have been captured and kept somewhere by the system, comparing them and matching to what you then present when you're trying to access something, or when you're trying to prove your identity.
Brilliant stuff. Ishe, you have my full attention. I'll tell you that. And I love the example that you gave about. Let's say, for example, you're at the border, right? Or you want to use the passport probably at the airport, and with the new age of biometrics now, it's easy for the system to identify, to say, no, you know what, this is Ishe, and it's not his twin brother. And I've heard this joke being said amongst the DJs, where they say, you guys, these young generations, they love amapiano. Then when we were talking about biometrics and the fingerprints, I was just thinking to myself, oh, there's a different version of amapiano with biometrics, because you're literally playing pianos with your fingerprints. But speaking about that, there's no way we can't stop or start asking about the right questions to ask. And most particularly, the pros and the cons about biometrics. Because today we're living in a digitalized age, right? And ever so often we might just take a back seat and just say, oh yeah, it's the times and everything, and not really get to have a deeper understanding of what is the technological developments that are happening. So with that regard, what are some of the pros and cons of biometrics?
Oh, that's very interesting. Smooth.
Yeah.
In life, everything can be used for good or for evil, or it can be used to benefit us or to harm us.
True.
And technology is quite interesting, man. You find that when you look at the things or the developments that happen in technology, usually they start as a movie or something we see, on TV. Say, someone is making a film about a futuristic, time where a lot of these things happen. But before you know it, maybe 5 years, 10 years later, those things we thought were not possible start to become possible. You get what I mean? So I just want to try to paint the picture in terms of how far technology has come before I answer your picture about pros and cons. So you find that Smooth in about around 1970, 1960, a computer chip was costing around computer chips with about what we call transistors, 2,000 transistors, was costing about $1,000 that time, which is about 15 to 20,000 in today's money, right?
Today's money,
yes, that's around 1960. But today, do you know how much that particular chip costs? It costs 2 cents.
2 cents as in 2 cents.
Yes. Right. So that's how technology is advancing. We talk about processing power. It doubles every 18 months. So the computing power or the processing power of computers is doubling every 18 months. So that's how far we have come with technology. So I'm sure by looking at that, you can see that there's going to be exponential growth in terms of developments in technology. With that in mind, we then look at the possibilities and the benefits, especially from a biometric perspective. Smooth. The first one is obviously security, where we said you cannot, it will be difficult, if not impossible, to impersonate a person. So I'm in the cybersecurity industry, Smooth. Biometric authentication or biometric security is considered to be the best because it's very difficult for you to steal a biometric feature. A password, you can steal it, you can guess it. A PIN code, you can steal it, you can guess it, right? But you cannot steal someone's identity, if we are using biometrics. Someone's facial features belong to them. It's only when you present that person that you are able to be authenticated, that you are able to unlock your smartphone, that you are able to log into your online account, that you're able to make payments. So it has helped the security industry, both at physical security, where you entering of buildings or restricted areas, and also even online transactions. Biometrics has really made it quite secure. And then from a convenience perspective as well, you don't have to carry anything when we're talking about biometrics. Yes, you don't have to feel like you have to write down your password in case you forget it, right? So it's very convenient. You just present yourself. If it's your voice, you just go and speak. If it's your face, you just present your face to the camera or to the scanner. You don't have to remember or to carry anything. That's a very, a very good pro to me. And then accuracy, Smooth. Biometric technology is very accurate, and especially now that technology is so advanced, we can drill down to the very, very tiniest of features for an individual. So so they are very accurate, and it's a very good thing from a security perspective. We talked about law enforcement. Imagine someone being incarcerated for a crime they didn't commit. But if someone commits murder and they leave their DNA there, and they leave their fingerprint there, bet your last dollar they will be caught if we have that information somewhere and we are able to then authenticate, to check or verify that this is the correct person, right? So that's a very another good advantage of biometric technology. And also now, I gave that context of technology, advancing at an exponential rate. So we are now able to use it for a wide range of things. Smooth, everyone who has a smartphone these days are able to just open their phone using some sort of biometric. But obviously there are limitations or maybe cons, if you may. The first one, or the very big one, is the privacy concern. I know a lot of people skeptical when it comes to biometric, because and rightfully so, Smooth, because biometrics make use of your unique features. Once we get those features and we have saved those features somewhere, we know that whatever you do, Smooth, we'll be able to find you. Once we get your face, we'll be able to recognize you. Once we get your fingerprint, if you touch something, we'll be able to tell that this is Smooth. So there are a lot of concerns around privacy, in terms of maybe if it's a company which is collecting that information, they're storing sensitive personal information about an individual. Some are even worried about surveillance, being surveilled and being followed, through maybe things like facial recognition. In some countries, they are even doing it now, where citizens are followed and are tracked for one reason or another. So there are a lot of privacy concerns. Then we have what's called false positives and false negatives. Smooth. So obviously, if you are gonna use a cheap version of the biometric technology, which is not really properly optimized, it may result in you identifying the wrong person, or granting access to the wrong person, or denying access to a legitimate user who should get access. So we call those false positives and false negatives. It's a it's a disadvantage of biometrics. Unlike other methods, especially in security, like we talked about PIN and password. If you type in your password and your username and your PIN, you are guaranteed 100% that you'll be able to access a system or a building. But with biometrics, sometimes it doesn't work, maybe because of other external factors. For example, if your fingers are sweaty, or maybe they have grease, you've put too much Vaseline and things like that, or maybe you put a lot of makeup on your face, facial recognition might fail to identify. So
that one you share, you have to be you have to be cautious about that example.
Yeah, no, I mean, people can go ahead and put their makeups, but it's one of the pros. And then of course, remember we talked about biometric systems storing a lot of personal and sensitive information about individuals. It can also then be used, in a way that creates bias against certain groups of people, in terms of be it their race or people with disabilities and things like that. So there is a bit of bias which can come from biometrics. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, we have to look at it from both sides to say, are the advantages outweighing the disadvantages? And in any case, I mean, technology is always advancing. You'd rather be on the right side of technology than be left behind. So let's use them. Let's use them.
That is brilliant, man. That is brilliant, because when you start dwelling deeper into thought about this, you realize that, okay, fair and fine, there may be a whole list of disadvantages or cons, if you may. But when you look at the upside of biometric technology itself, it's aided so many things. I mean, like from health, even law enforcement. Because if you're looking at it from a point of view to say, over the past years, there was need to have that whole process of authenticating probably a person's identity, and now it's just your fingerprint, it's just probably your eye, your retina, or your voice, and it's so quick. Because now what happens when you look at a point of view of, let's say, the industry, right, and already you're going towards the economy of whatever place or the company or any country, right, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, how much time is being spent with employees trying to check in or log in into the industry? And now with biometrics, the second you're there, the second you just place your palm,
exactly,
you're accessing the company. So it really opens your mind to so many things. Yes, and fine, there's always that scare to say, no, the way technology is moving too fast, but then you realize at the end of the day, even on your phone, you find your phone has AI capabilities, artificial intelligence. On your phone, you literally use your fingerprints and physical features. You're using biometrics every single day, but you didn't know. So why worry now is the question. But of course, it's quite sensitive when you start talking about technology and how different people from different walks of life appreciate it, because we're going to talk more about this appreciation of technology development, most especially with the perspective here in religion. We're going to talk about this later on, right?
Okay.
But for now, when we look at the subject of artificial intelligence, Ishe, is biometrics in support or is totally opposed to artificial intelligence? Are these two different things, or they complement each other? How does it work?
Right. So, yeah, that's a very interesting one, Smooth. That's a very interesting one. So these two areas are not the same, but they are very much related and they are interlinked, right? In that, if you recall from the earlier conversations we had on AI, where we were talking about AI is basically the ability to mimic the intelligence of a human being by machines or by systems, right? So there is really a relationship between AI and biometric, or they are used together. I'll start with the positive, relationship between these two. So with the invent of AI, or the development of AI, we are now able to develop even more accurate algorithms or biometric algorithms, where we are now able to make it. I was talking about those false positives and false negatives.
Yes.
So through the use of AI, we can improve the accuracy of biometric systems in very different or adverse conditions. Like, for example, you can be able to authenticate someone in the dark now, by combining the power of AI and biometric, and then use them for biometric systems, which makes them more efficient in low light conditions, even maybe where in a humid area, where you can't control the humidity, but you still need to authenticate someone, using AI, the artificial intelligence can be able to eliminate the wetness or the water particles from the whole equation, and then we remain with just the data that needs to be authenticated, right? And also using AI, we are now able to drill down to a whole lot more aspects of biometric systems are smooth, over and above the traditional ones. We know where even more aspects of an individual can then be used to uniquely identify them, right? So I would say overall AI is playing a major role in improving biometric technology, of course. And then I'll give other examples of where AI is also being used in collaboration with biometrics. Yes, the facial recognition thing we're talking about, where, for example, AI can now be used to do a deeper scan, in terms of identifying people with high accuracy, and even from a fingerprint or iris recognition. So I'll give you a practical example. And Smooth, you may think this is futuristic, but it's already happening. We used to see it in the movies, but it's now happening, right?
You have all my attention.
Yeah. Imagine it's you, Smooth. You're coming from work. You're going home. When you get home, at the door, your house uses facial recognition, so it recognizes that this is Smooth at the door. You don't have to bring out your keys or anything. The moment you're there, the camera scan and they see it's you, they open the door. Right, the door is opened. The moment you step into the room, it turns on the radio. And using artificial intelligence, because it knows if it's Smooth, it's a Sunday, he wants to play these kinds of jams. If it's a Friday, he wants to play amapiano or whatever. So it plays your favorite music, maybe switches on the air conditioning to the level of temperature that you prefer, based on on its the data it has gathered. All the nice things are Smooth, using the artificial intelligence. Imagine you are in your house, there's a burglar who comes to your house, the camera identifies him as an unknown person. Probably we have an online database of criminals. So using AI, the system can scan and say, but this person is a wanted person or is actually a criminal. Probably it even triggers an alarm and things like that. So they can be used in collaboration to be able to enhance our lives, and all the good things we talked about that day in terms of artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Using biometric technology together with artificial intelligence, we are able to enhance the experience and also the advantages. From a healthcare perspective, Smooth, probably just by getting a piece of DNA and so on and so forth, it can be analyzed by using artificial intelligence in terms of diagnosing a disease and so on and so forth, based on the unique characteristics of a person's DNA, or his blood makeup and things like that. So really, I think this is really artificial intelligence is very good in terms of helping the biometric advancement of biometrics. And then the negative side, Smooth, is I'm sure you've heard of those artificial intelligence generated music. Yes, where you can hear a Tupac jam playing and you think, oh man, Tupac has released another one,
And it's playing to background to Leonard Dembo's soundtrack.
and things like that. So imagine artificial intelligence can mimic someone's voice. So it means it can be used for other things. Someone can just mimic your voice, recreate your voice, regenerate your voice, or your face or your, or whatever other feature, right, using artificial intelligence, and it then can be replicated and used in other ways that are not proper.
Are not desirable.
Exactly. And also we were talking about facial recognition. In some countries, you find that they're now using that together with artificial intelligence to, profile people, to survey people, and then just, and there's a whole lot of privacy issues there, where someone is monitoring your movements and things like that, and so on, and all your information is being captured, and they can actually, probably when you walk into a company, if they have a database of all the movements that you've made, you can then be prejudiced based on that. Maybe you're going for an interview, or you want to get a service there, and so on and so forth. So of course there are all those things that can then happen because of that link between the two. But I mean, overall, like I said, I mean, technology can be used for both good and bad. And
bad. That's
for,
so true.
yeah, for me, I would say whatever new technology comes, let's grab it, let's go for it, because in any case, criminals are going to use it. We may as well use it for good as well.
Speaking about the good, you mentioned the scenario, home setup. You come home, the facial recognition, the door opens, you get there. Oh yes, Smooth has a long day, and now it's time for maybe some laid back jams, and automatically the stereo plays your music. I can't wait, Ishe. I can't wait for a moment in time where we'll get to a point where technology will be more relatable, in the sense that the wife then knows, oh yes, it's time for me to have the talk with the husband. And you get a notification from whatever system is in your house to tell you, what, Ishe, it's time for you to talk to your wife now. It's time for the monthly talk. It's interesting.
Yes.
It really is interesting, because we might oversee the good of these technologies that are coming through, because we have this scare and worry to say, no, I have read about this, but I think it's a bit too much, because the other day I watched iRobot, that's Will Smith's movie, and it got me thinking, what happens when all these robots decide to say, you know what, we're now making decisions on ourselves? What then happens? So it's a conversation that really opens up your eyes, and if you're one person who loves your sci-fi, and you might be on the edge of your seat and say, wow, this was actually under my nose, and I was so near yet so far in terms of understanding and comprehending the message. But it's always interesting. Of course, if you're just joining in, it is the Tech Show. The name is Smooth, and I'm in conversation with Isheanesu, Sithole, and we're talking about the age of biometrics. We're talking about artificial intelligence, talking about the growth and development of technology as we know it today. So, Ishe, let's talk more about the humanitarian side of technology. There's some who are worried that probably we're going too fast, and the irony behind it is, with each day that passes, we are getting more and more less human. Think about it.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah,
it's worrying.
Yeah, and indeed we should be worried about becoming less human as technology continues to develop. Yes, I agree that it can help us to improve our lives in so many ways, but it can also lead to some level of dehumanization. Smooth, in that, for example, I'll give you just a few examples. For example, isolation. There may be increased isolation in terms of where you as an individual, you may begin to spend more time interacting with machines and less time with other people. I mean, we look at what's happening now. People are always on their phones. You may be in the same room, but no one is talking to the other. People are on their phones. So there is social isolation, and actual loneliness, Smooth, can actually result from that. Where people, because we are interacting with machines and devices, and these things have no feelings, they have no emotions. So you can then begin to feel lonely, and it might lead even to depression and things like that, because and reduced empathy maybe another issue smooth, because like I said, we are dealing with machines more and more, and these things, they have no empathy. They cannot really relate. Of course, with the artificial intelligence, we are getting there, but they cannot really relate with how people, their beliefs, their emotions, and so on and so
human
forth.
Touch.
Yes. So when that lacks, you may fail to be able to empathize with other people, how they feel. We see it on social media when people start arguing and insulting each other and so on. And then and then we talked about increased surveillance. A few days ago, I was watching this movie called Old Dads, I think, where someone was fired because their boss installed a camera in in the car and all sorts of things, and they were swearing in private. But the boss then said, we signed our contract and you are not supposed to be saying those words and things like that. So things like increased surveillance, which then crosses the line in terms of is it a breach of privacy, is it proper monitoring, and so on. So people are becoming more and more less compassionate, less empathetic, and less social as a result of technology, even less independent as well, because we are now reliant more and more on technology. So I think it's really important that as societies, or even at a home level, we try to address those risks by promoting the social interaction between people. From a government perspective, maybe even having guidelines and about ethics and things like that in terms of how technology is used. Just the last week we were talking about the cybersecurity and privacy act, which is one of the things which then help to shape up society, because technology can really be something that affects our social lives.
Interesting. Okay, Ishe, we mentioned before that want to talk more about different perspectives that arise when we start talking about developments that are happening within the new age of technology, and we want to talk more about the religious perspective. The other day I was in conversation with one person, very religious. Right, individual, and they highlighted to me to say, you know what, it really is begging the question when you look at how technology is growing. It begs the question to say, are we not getting so near to the beginning of the unknown? Because when you look at it, when you think about it from whatever angle or religious denomination that you're coming from, or religious beliefs that you have, and you think about it, ask yourself the question, okay, we're spending so much time on our mobile devices. We're spending so much time browsing through different applications that beautify how we look, without mentioning names. There are so many applications that have so many filters coming through. And before you know it, you are somehow self-worshipping yourself. No, think about it, really.
Yeah.
There's this application that just came out. Well, it's been there for a while now, but there's so much buzz around it for the past 2 weeks. And you have various people, creating these characters, artificial characters of themselves. It's like you take a picture of yourself, then it remodifies it and brings out a certain image to yourself. And I came across this meme that was saying, before you know it, you're going to get married to Sharo and Nemunu.
Yeah.
I mean, it really gets you thinking, okay, from the religious side of things. Are we edging closer and closer to the unknown, or we're still on track?
The religious perspective is a difficult one, in that it's a bit complex, because we have very different religions, where someone from a Christian background views it differently from someone from a Muslim background, and so on and so forth. But I think I wouldn't say we are near the beginning of the unknown, but societies should evolve and should adapt. Smooth. Technology is going to continue advancing, and even as from our religious perspectives, we need to also evolve and advance with technology. I'll just give a quick example from an African traditional religion perspective, looking at the issue of biometrics we were talking about, Smooth. Do you know that back in the day, to prove that someone, the paternity of a child, you would be taken to a chief and they would look at your palm or your hand and they will compare it to that of the child. And they would then, based on that, say, you are indeed the father, because those things look the same. So
this
it's the same.
one is from the land of the smoothies.
yes. So it's the same now, but we are now using more advanced technology, and it can prove it beyond, a shadow of doubt. So I think, yes, in as much as there may be different views in terms from a religion perspective, I think the different religions need to evolve and to move together with technology, because, like I say, technology can be used for good and for bad. So whatever your religion is, embrace the technology, use it to advance your beliefs, use it to advance your interactions as a religious circle of people, and I think it will help us. But I think if we want to try to continue to be stuck in the old days, then we'll be overtaken, and it will create a big divide between where technology has gone and where the people are and how we view it, and definitely there will be issues.
Brilliant stuff. I just got a perspective here. Eye-opening, right? So apparently, a tool in the right hands will lead towards productivity, right?
Yes.
And a tool in the wrong hands will lead to destruction.
Exactly.
So I love to believe that it goes in line with what you just mentioned right now, to say, look, technology is all about advancement. We're trying to advance from probably the Stone Age to, a certain point in time that we don't know. But ideally, we'd love to believe that technology is there to make life easier, to make our functionality as human beings quite easier and efficient. So it's a tricky one, fine from a religious perspective, but I think conclusively we can say that it all comes back to how you view it and what are your intentions with technology itself.
Exactly.
Brilliant stuff. You know what, Ishe, we always lose track of time with such conversations, man.
Yes,
You know the story.
Yeah.
But guess what? I'm pretty sure we can have a part 2 of this next week and get to go deeper into it, because already with the mention of the religious side perspective of it, the WhatsApp platform is blowing up, and would love to encourage even some of open religions across all religions to come and present their thoughts and opinions around the matter. So let's have a part 2 of it. Can we do that?
Sure thing, man. We can.
100%. Let's do that, and I'm hoping that you're going to have a fantastic day today.
Thank you so much, Smooth. Yeah. It's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to a great day. Hope you have a good one yourself, man.
Absolutely. Every single time Arsenal is playing, it's always a pleasure.
For sure.
Okay, man. Have a great one, and talk to you soon.
Thanks, Smooth. Have a good one too.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.